Welcome back to the shop. The rear suspension is now torn down and out of the trooper. Over here I have my arms for the rear, that trailing arm, the uppers, and done a little bit of welding on them, and some root passes with TIG. I'm probably gonna end up making this big old gap, but they're looking good. Gonna weld these out. Have the rear end out, and I'm gonna weld the truss, weld those brackets, just get everything welded out. We've already cycled everything, made sure we have clearances everywhere, so time to finalize some stuff. If we look here, we can see just started welding there. I got weld along the bottom, weld along that top. Let's get to work. Here they are, all welded out. I used a MIG weld down this larger gap just because it fills in faster, and then I TIG welded basically everywhere else, right along that edge there. And this is a dual pass TIG weld where I'm doing a root pass and then covering that with a cover pass just to build up enough material. I used these pieces here just to keep everything nice and true and the correct width. This one slips in there and was preventing any shrinkage that wouldn't allow the shock. So this is a little bit wider than the shock, so that when that shock bolts in there, it's going to have plenty of room. And then I used this aluminum slug here as a big heat sink, and that get pressed into this end bushing hole and prevented any warping, because when you're welding just on this one side, that could warp and move around, so then this bushing wouldn't fit nice. But this aluminum slug takes the heat and prevents that from, it just works as a big heatsink. Works really well. Yeah, so now they're all welded out. A lot of time into these puppies, but I think they look pretty good. The MIG welder was a little bit undersized, so I had to really figure out a nice way of welding to get it to land the way I wanted to. So, reasonable results. Cool. So these are obviously are welded out as well. I'll take on those. And then I guess we'll go over and check out the truck. Finished welding these out. Just TIG welded those onto the frame. Down here did a bunch of MIG welding all over this. The only areas I didn't do are on that axle center housing, because I wanted to heat that up, and right now it's complete. So I have to tear it down to do the gears and the locker. So when I do that, then I'll preheat that center section and weld that in properly. I got a couple little tack welds in there, but overall left that unwelded. And then these are welded onto the chassis, and I've been working on welding those out as well. So most of this 4-link is now pretty happy. I'm gonna be finishing just the small amounts of welding that I have to do, and then we'll be reassembling it, and we're going to move on to the front suspension. I know this took a while to do. It's getting busier in the summer, so it's harder for me to spend time out here, but we're still making progress. Things are still moving forward, so pretty excited to have you guys following along. Don't forget to like and subscribe.